This is Rita Matuzic, and you are listening to the Real Talk, Real Results podcast, the show that does not sugarcoat B2B marketers' everyday challenges and discusses actionable, realistic solutions. Today, we are talking about boundaryless and cross-functional leadership and the intersection of marketing and product. Joining me is Akanksha Talya, a B2B SaaS product executive, formerly the Chief Product Officer at ServiceChannel, and leadership roles at a Gen AI startup, GE Digital, and Deloitte Consulting. Akanksha, can you tell our audience a little bit about your background and expertise?
Absolutely. Hi, everybody. And Rita, thank you for having me. It is great to be here. I'm Akanksha Talya. Most of my career has been in B2B SaaS in a variety of roles, but predominantly product management. My career as a product management leader didn't go through, the sequential product manager, senior product manager, director of product management. I actually entered product management leadership through the lens of strategy, M&A game board. My prior roles at Deloitte Consulting sort of gave me this wide view into what was happening in B2B SaaS and how companies were transitioning to SaaS. And that I grabbed onto the opportunity to lead a product management team, and the opportunity presented itself and helped me sort of complement the technical skills of the teams that I was serving. I've also had the opportunity to serve as sales leader of a 0 to 1 startup. Was very grateful to the founders to give me that opportunity at that time in my career, which truly transformed how I think about the role of product management and the collaboration, the cross-functional collaboration that we can foster in driving revenue and growth for the company. My introduction would be incomplete if I don't talk about, a little bit about my personal side. I'm an avid fitness junkie. Health, nutrition, workouts is a big part of my life. And, and I believe that is an important key to how I may be on a journey to unlocking my own potential as a leader.
I love that. I love that. I definitely think having something where we can just put our energy and then clear our energy really makes us better leaders. And you clearly have a lot of leadership experience and a lot of varied roles. What do you think makes a successful cross-functional leader?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think obviously there are table stakes of empathy and active listening, personal connection with the people that you work with, regardless of, what level you are. Because you can be a leader without being a team leader. Like even an individual contributor can be a leader and a great cross-functional leader at that. So I don't mean titles when I talk about cross-functional leadership. But what I have found that what unlocked for me that transformation from being a functional leader to a boundaryless cross-functional leader was when I had a big picture of the business. Truly understanding the finance view, the P&L view, the revenue view of the business, segmentation, and where we are going and where the growth is going to come from. And then understanding how your function, the function you lead, fits into delivering on that financial view and the vision view of the business is very, very important. So that if you have that vantage point, it makes it very easy. It clicks, and it is in service of the growth of the business and the employees that work there. And obviously, as I said, stylistic things are very important. The second thing, which is more of a mindset, which has served me and other people I have watched growing up in my career, is this nothing in the business is somebody else's problem. You obviously want to have accountabilities, and you want to have, you take this and you do this, and there is a division of labor and there are functional responsibilities, but nothing in the business is somebody else's problem. If you see a problem, raise your hand to solve it in partnership with the right people, because that's how you really make a multiplicative impact. So to summarize 3 things, obviously, the soft skills of active listening, empathy. Second, very, very important to build on that interpersonal collaboration is the financial, the big picture view of the business, the revenue side, the segmentation, that acumen, the financial acumen. And third, nothing in this business or any business is somebody else's problem. If you see a problem, partner to solve it.
I love that. I fully agree with that. I love it. And I love to hear that from somebody who's in an executive position, working with other leaders. So at the leadership table, do you think there is one executive or like one function that takes the lead and sets the example as the cross-functional collaborator, an example of what cross-functional leadership looks like?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, every function needs to collaborate with everybody. But what I have found is there are two executive functions that actually act as very, very important hubs. One is finance. Almost everybody needs to work with finance, and CFO, CRO partnership is critical, CFO, CMO partnership is critical, CFO, CEO partnership is critical, and CFO, CPO partnership is absolutely critical. Back to that financial business plan and unlocking that. And product management, CPO roles are essentially the hub of bringing that business plan to life. What are we launching? What are we building? What are we investing in? How are we going to communicate that to the market? What channels may be a decision that marketing makes, but which segments we're going after is really a very strong product management, product marketing, decision partnership. So finance and product management truly have the opportunity to serve as not act as, but serve as the hubs of cross-functional executive leadership that really partner with all of the functions and bring the vision to life.
Yes, definitely. I want to talk a little bit about some of the leadership roles that own a revenue number. So that's obviously sales. Marketing is more and more owning, contributing to revenue. How do you think about owning a revenue number regardless of your function?
Yeah, that is, one thing I forgot to mention in my introduction, but it's a big part of who I am is, there are, if I step back, there are different types of product management leaders, product management executives. You may call them archetypes. There are some who are very strong technically, and that's great because you need that. You need technical acumen to a certain extent. So they're very strong technically designed, and that is their forte. There are some product management executives who are very strong general managers, and there are some strong, because they're really good at, a deep understanding of the P&L and working cross-functionally to bring that to life. And a shade of a strong general management product leader is also somebody who's very commercially minded. So I am that third bucket that the persona that I have grown into is that very commercially intense product leader. Now, that unfortunately or fortunately, you act like you own the revenue. You do have to. You act like you're one of the players that owns the revenue, not the only player, of course not. But you do have to have that mindset. And how do you do that? I think it's not enough for just one person in the company or one executive CPO in that function, product function, to think like that. You have to transmit that way of thinking and the way of wetting investments to your teams and work with them so that they also are acting as revenue agents. And tactically, how do you do? Obviously, it's very important for product management to make the right decisions for the long term that are going to create the ROI, the revenue, the cross-sell, upsell that the business needs to meet its doubling or tripling down the business objectives. So that's number one. I think if you ask the CFO, the number one thing that they partner with CPOs on is having that machine of ROI-driven prioritization of product initiatives that will achieve the business results, because that's what sales will go after and sell in the long term. That's what marketing will go after and really broaden and create awareness on. That's number one. So investments. And number two is the day-to-day. So obviously there is the strategic lens of where the growth is going to come from and which initiatives we should invest in, but that's not it. As a product executive, you're also responsible to making sure, if your eye is on the revenue ball, that your day-to-day of your team is also serving the revenue objectives. So if you have quarterly roadmaps, making sure your teams are, and you yourself are making sure that the sales team understands the value, the customer value of the innovation that is coming out so that they can go out and convert that into revenue. When you have customer conferences, making sure you are front and center, helping customers with the sales team also understand the value and help progress the late stage deals as needed. Pricing is such an important lever that CPOs, CMOs, and their respective teams collaboratively with the CROs as well can really activate to drive revenue, right? And profitability too. And then speaking of profitability, because as important as revenue, profitability and operating margin is also important, keeping an eye on the total cost of ownership of the product, which sometimes can be very heavy depending on the technologies that you're using, the unit economics. Those are the 4 or 5 things I think about. I'll give you an example that I have used in every product launch that I have done in my career, whether as an individual contributor or as a product executive. People think of product launches as, oh, we released a feature and that is a time to celebrate. I think that's great, but I think that's not enough. I always compare product launches with rocket launches. Imagine there is a rocket launch that is happening, and we don't just celebrate when the rocket takes off. The team celebrates when the rocket has reached escape velocity and gets into that orbital path. That is really the end goal for it to accomplish the goal that it has. Product launch is very similar. It's not just enough to release the features. Our goal as leaders, regardless of function, is to make sure that product, that is the payload in that rocket, reaches escape velocity of converting into revenue. And I mean, that is, when I talk to my teams about it, it's really a mindset shift. And also create seeds of collaboration, because then they need to partner with marketing better. They need to partner with customer success to truly understand when and what are the moments that matter that convert into revenue, and we need to be ahead of those things. The other part of this analogy that also is important is no one function can really say, I am responsible for product launch. It's truly a collaboration. Just like around the rocket, you see the engineers, you see the monitors, you see all the teams that are responsible for the rocket launch, and then the command center. Product launch is truly a cross-functional effort. And the product management team, when they wear the revenue hat, can make it even more stronger.
Yes, I fully agree. And I think the underlying theme of everything you said is really, how do we bring customer value and prove that to our customers and our prospective customers? And how do we solve problems that they're thinking about, instead of leading with, like you said, product features or new product releases? And I think that's something a lot of us struggle with, just across functions, whether you're in product and you're excited about a new feature, a new product you're launching, or you're in marketing and you're, running your campaign. As a leader, how do you think about and train yourself as well as your teams and cross-functionally to first think about those customer problems and those things that we really want to highlight that we're solving for our customers, instead of thinking about product first or campaign first?
Yeah, that is a very common problem I run into, and many product executives, CPOs or SVPs of product run into, is they are pulled in to transform teams from a feature function team to a commercially intense, innovation focused team. And the heart of that is, which are the big problems we are going to bet on that are important to customers, that will create a 10x improvement for customers. And I'll give you a cheat code of what I have started to use for the last 5-6 years. I call them the 5 C's of product management. And I really apply them to myself, and obviously teach my teams to bring that. So those 5 C's are as follows. Number 1 is curiosity. Absolutely. Not only product managers, everybody should be curious. Curiosity, but curiosity not for every problem. Curiosity of customer truth, seeking customer truth. And that truth is, which is the biggest problem? What are they dying to solve for? And we can be the right people to solve. Our product, our company has the birthright to be the solution for that problem over time, right? So seeking customer truth via curiosity, that's the first C. Second is building conviction. Conviction is the second C. Conviction building using that customer truth, not conviction building on something else, but using that customer truth. That's where the investment and initiatives sort of come in. The third is very important, is being clear-eyed, seeing what you need to see, not what you want to see. And, and that is the part around feature function versus customer value. What you really need to see is what is the ultimate customer value, not the feature function, the how and the what. And sometimes you can, people cannot be clear-eyed, and, it's something that you can work on. So that is those 3 C's are very, very much focused on customer market conviction building and being very clear about where we should be going and where we should not be going. The other 2 C's are more focused on the how. So culture of craftsmanship, making sure whatever we do it really well, and create delight in the workflows we are creating. And last but not the least, because we are accountable to all other partners in the organization, is culture of high say-do. We do what we say, and we say what we are going to do, right? So in recap, curiosity, seeking customer truth, conviction building, being clear-eyed, culture of craftsmanship, and eventually, culture of also high say-do. And I find myself repeating this literally every day in how I set up teams, how we talk about problems, how we question, are we being clear-eyed about a hypothesis or what we believe to be true about a business? And then it becomes sort of the language or the lingo of the organization and rallies us to then focus on the problem, not the language.
Yes, yes, I love that. And I want to dig into a little bit what you said about being clear-eyed and understanding the truths of what you're bringing to market and how it's performing. And we want to get into like where data plays a role in that. And just kind of, share a little bit about your experience in that specific C of how you have helped others, leaders, people on your team to take data and understand that maybe, a hypothesis that we had wasn't accurate, and how do we pivot to, bring something better to market that is more aligned to what customers are looking for or in this moment wanting to buy.
So basically, the obviously day to day that you're always looking at data, the whole organization, and obviously as head of product, you're always looking at data to be better equipped with insights. There are many examples that come to mind, but one that comes to mind of note is, in one of my recent roles, we obviously everybody's trying to innovate with Gen AI and bring useful use cases for our customers into market. And the way planning works, right? You do big picture planning first, like, hey, if there's a mile marker, we hope to have this project or this initiative complete in 6 months or 4 months. And because catching up with innovation is such a big priority for the business, we aim to have a press release once this project is done. Right? So that's the big picture plan. And when then you launch the feature, we launched a certain feature which was using a certain Gen AI capabilities, and we expected it to be a big bonanza and a lot of users really wanting it, and everything was still on paper was on track. We ran that initiative. My team ran that initiative. We looked at the user data, and we found that actually it was not as successful. It was not as successful. And why? And there was a key learning nugget there. The reason it was not successful, that our hypothesis that they will find the insights valuable and conduct a certain action using that insight was still true. The product went as far as giving that insight using generative AI, but we had some work to do in finishing the workflow. So the action part was not quite there in the product. So for doing the right thing for business and customers, we really needed to be clear-eyed. Are we at a point where talking about this makes sense and doing this launch makes sense? Or should we take the time, look at what we have learned through data that we do not have adoption, and actually finish the last mile that the customers need? That may mean sometimes 2 to 3 months of additional work if there is right ROI, and then going back to the drawing board and finishing that last mile before you do any large scale announcement. Now, why I highlight this example is the impact of looking at that usage data had cross-functional implications. There are certain decisions that you make using data that only impact your function. But more often than not, the types of data and insights that CPOs, CMOs, and CROs are looking at are meant to create cross-functional activation or deactivation of certain priorities. So I selected this example because it was something we needed to build conviction on together with marketing, that we should do it or not. And we didn't have that conviction. We had to be clear-eyed and say, no, we're not ready. And was grateful to have great marketing partners around me who agreed as well when they looked at the data, and we decided to not do the launch that we were aiming to do earlier.
I love what you said about like the partnership between product and marketing, and how, product brings like what marketing is going to take to market to them. So I want to talk about like, what do you think product and marketing teams need to do to ensure that what the marketing team is promoting is aligned to what the product team delivered? Because sometimes we find things get lost in translation.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's not intentional. It's really, our outcomes are often the result of the systems that we put in place. And both functions are complex. The product management function is complex, and so is the marketing function. You have demand generation, you have content creation, you have, obviously product marketing and customer marketing. There's so many sub functions within marketing, and it's not fair to, to say, okay, it's just one function, because it has sub functions, and it can create a little bit of, cascaded loss of knowledge. Now, what can teams do? What I have found to work really well in my experience is when functions typically tend to have more of a manufacturing value chain type of a mindset, which is product does this, then product marketing comes in, and then this marketing comes in, and that marketing comes in to take it to the finish line. It is a little suboptimal. It does still create results, but it can be a little suboptimal. Whereas when you take a pod approach, where product marketing, product management, user experience are all going to be co-creators in the early phase of when you are sort of building conviction around a product and sort of visioning what this new module or new product is going to do, it creates demonstrably different shared understanding of the customer value, demonstrably different and higher level alignment, and they all become spokesperson of the product as much as the product management team. So I personally find as a leader, and I encourage less of a manufacturing value chain for certain cases and more of a pod working rhythms with cross-functional teams for certain important milestones, especially when you are envisioning a new product, when you're envisioning a new module, when you're working on a new business, when you're speaking with customers and doing voice of the customer and testing your hypotheses, when you're even creating your hypotheses, the leaps of faith that you believe. I think if we take a pod approach, it's much easier and much more high performance. Otherwise, you can do VOC just by product team and then hand it over to somebody else. I think the real magic, the real customer understanding and intimacy gets lost, and that's where the gap that you're describing may come. So that's my sort of rule of the road, and I try to create more of a pod approach. Does that make sense?
Yes, totally makes sense. No, I love that. I think, right, it comes back to the collaboration, right? Collaboration isn't just at the executive level, it's cross-functional, it's across teams, across levels of jobs, roles, everything. And, we all have the experience of knowing that the pod structure isn't always the way that things are run at organizations, depending just how things are structured across teams. What have you found, across all of your experience and the different companies that you've worked at can be the biggest challenge that marketers and products leads face when they're working together?
Yeah, that's a very good question, because in every organization, there are typically things that can happen, miscommunication, misalignment, because everybody's moving very fast, right? It's not intentional, but just because the sheer speed. And a couple of things that, when I have found in my experience, and they're not exhaustive, challenges can appear when there is a language difference. So we just talked about how I love that marketing teams are actually best at articulating customer value. So marketing teams are often looking for that customer value. You may find product teams are being very feature function focused on the how. So language can be a challenge, and that's where having shared language and shared altitude at which these teams are operating is going to be very, very important. So language is number one. Number two can be horizons too. So product management teams typically look further out, and they're thinking about a horizon which is a couple of quarters down. So there can be a horizon mismatch, and when they are starting to work together, what horizon are we communicating to the market? Are we talking about what's to come? Are we talking about what is already on the truck? So horizon can be a challenge, and it's very important when it takes a minute to clarify what horizon are we talking about. The third is obviously trust. I think both functions have very, very important capabilities and competencies, and it's very important to trust what the other function is really good at, bringing out customer stories and highlighting value. It's very important that product counterparts trust the marketing counterparts. And then obviously there will be cases when it comes to investment decisions or the how of something gets rendered, you have to trust the product counterpart. So language, horizons, the trust are more of the softer things that are very easily fixable. But the last but most important thing on top of those things is that financial view of the business. If both teams understand what is the revenue outcome that we are going after, what is the potential impact, which segment will help us unlock it. Your marketing leader, the channel, the persona, and all of that becomes easier. Alignment at the business plan level is such an important part of unlocking that collaboration, because then you're swimming in the same direction. Then you can align the long language. You're already on the same horizon because you're looking at the same business plan. And obviously you should trust each other with the competencies. You're like a sports team. You have to trust the quarterback for what it's good at, and you have to trust the other, other players for what they are good at.
I especially love you calling out the language piece, because as a marketer, right, we in a lot of ways have our own language. We're at the forefront of innovative products that are coming into the market for marketers to use. So it's like every year we're doing something different, we're learning something new, we're trying something new, and the language we use to describe what we're doing moves so quickly for us that I think oftentimes we might not use the same language as other people in the business, and we could be explaining something that makes sense to the marketing organization but doesn't make sense to everybody else because they don't have the same exposure. So I love that, right? Like for any communication with anybody, like making sure you're saying the same things and knowing your audience, that they are understanding what you're talking about, is so important. I want to ask though, like when you've seen, a successful product and marketing relationship, what did that look like? Like, what did they figure out to, like be product and marketing best friends, if you will?
We did a very, very successful launch in the prior company that I was at. And, that was partly because of the partnership that the product marketing and sales team had. Sales is a very important part of that partnership as well. The one notable example, and a hard one that comes to my memory, is back when I was at GE Digital. The company sort of started at the premise of that GE Digital was going to be this industrial IoT platform for all the industrial companies to build their software on. And while that was a great vision, the key leap of faith that we as a business made was that all the industrial companies are tech savvy, they have the talent to build those applications, and that they will know which use cases to focus on and build on top of it. And building on a platform is quite expensive. We thought, we as a business, and I was part of it, we thought that what Salesforce did for tech companies is something that IIoT platform could do for industrial companies. And while all of those hypotheses could be true, they were not true then. They were not true in the circa 2016, 2017. The industrial companies didn't have a lot of digital DNA, not a lot of software engineers. So we had to pivot the business from a platform business to an application business, where customers actually were getting out-of-the-box applications. They were not building something on their own, and they were getting quick time to value, which is very important back to the customer value, like what they needed, that quick time to value. So I'm taking this time to explain the business context so we as a business needed to shift from a platform-centric business to an application-centric business, which was focused on a few use cases, not all the use cases that can be built on the platform. Now, this shift means it's a shift in the product strategy, but it's more, in addition, it was a very significant shift in which markets we were serving, which industries we were going after, what we were telling our customers, what products we were launching, how we were telling value of those, and what we were enabling the sales teams on, because selling a platform is way different than selling a completely out-of-the-box application that creates quick time to value and change management at the customer. And, every transformation like that is messy in the near term. It is messy. But, when I look back years later, I feel that partnership, which felt like a little bit of tugging each other, was actually a very good partnership, because in the end, we did accomplish what we needed to. But the key determinants of success, the long-term success of that transformation, were immense trust. Trust, because no one function will have all the time, nor horsepower to think about everything and get everything perfect. Product, you do what you're good at. Marketing, you do what you're really good at. Let's keep talking with each other. Let's test. And periodic information sharing, because just like the example of the Gen AI initiative that I gave, you may have the best laid plans, but if you're not interacting and sharing your lessons learned on a weekly basis with each other, going to things together, I think those type of transformations are at risk. It was a 3 or 4 year old transformation, but when I look back, that was probably the strongest partnership I have experienced. And I've had to go through from my side as well as a product leader to really see the other side. The other thing, I talked about the importance of language. Language played a very important role in our teams working together, because when you're going through a business model shift, what is an application? What does it mean to move from a platform business to an application business? There's a lot of emotion in the organization too, because we are changing things, right? The vision has changed. So it was very important that my marketing counterparts and I and my peers were using very crisp and clear and similar language. In fact, to the same words, so that we were not creating confusion for our teams. We were unified, we were using same language and using the right words to describe what this transition was about. Change management was such an important part of this. And it's always a partnership. It's not led by one function.
Yes, yes, I totally agree. And I love what you said at the beginning about sales being an important player in the relationship, and also the need and importance of enabling the sales organization. And so I want to ask for our final question, what role does the product team play in helping enable the sales organization to sell new products, new features, go through a business transformation, anything that an organization is going through?
Oh, I'm really passionate about this topic. I believe that the role that the product team plays is that of an igniter. It is that of an igniter and rallying the sales team. And of course, you do that in partnership with all the other functions as well. But think about this, like which function, product marketing, and marketing are in the best position to tell that customer value. When we have incubated this product, we potentially have had some really good design customers. These design customers have seen that early value, and they're willing to talk about that value and champion the product in the market. Hopefully, you've done all of that as a product and product leader or a product manager. So you have this raw fuel that your sales team needs to really ignite that market. What is the customer value of this roadmap, whether it's feature or module? What results have our customers seen? And how can this help you win, Mr. Salesperson? How to talk about this, these early results, so that you win, we win in the market. And I think at the end of the day, we all are there to grow our business. Revenue is such an important part. Revenue, orders, bookings, whatever financial metric, such an important part. And I feel very, very personally involved and motivated to set up our sales teams up for success. So that's during launch. The second part is also the day-to-day, as I talked about, because launch happens maybe once a quarter and every quarter, or maybe more frequent depending on what is the velocity of your development process and initiatives. The sales team is out in front of customers trying to close deals, right? I have a ton of experience in enterprise sales, enterprise segments, not sales. These deals are long. They need the whole village from the organization to support to close from company perspective. Presentation of roadmaps, understanding beforehand when you get in front of the customer, who is the economic buyer? What do they need to hear? What questions do they have? What type of challenges have they presented in the sales process? Like what is the deal breaker right now? Obviously, if it's negotiation, you leave it to them. But if it's about value, if it's about roadmap, if it is about where are you heading, if it is about what other customers have used it, will this work for me? I'm unique. I know my process is unique. How do you settle those questions? I think that's such an important part of representing. If you have the opportunity as a product manager to be representing those pieces on the sales calls, I think that's great. And it grows you as a product manager.
Yeah.
It grows you so much as a product manager when you hear that from the customer and you help serve in front of the sales team to help them close deals. That is such a winning moment for the company. So, what I'm trying to say is, yes, launches are important. But the day-to-day of helping our sellers win in demonstrating the value in front of our customers. And keep in mind, no matter who you are, you always, if I'm a buyer, I know that the salesperson has an incentive to close the deal. when you show up as a product management, either executive or team member, you're really the representative of the market. You are an unbiased person. You have the ability to be that unbiased person to represent the market. And most customers who really after ROI, they want that unbiased opinion because they don't want to get stuck on a one-off product. They want something where the market is going, and that's what you're focused on. You bring that energy, you bring that fuel, you bring that ignition, all in the service of your sales team to win. And I think that's a fantastic combination.
That is amazing. I thank you so much, Akanksha. Your insights were so invaluable today. I know that our listeners are going to learn from our conversation, from you, from your expertise. And for the listeners, don't forget to click subscribe if you want to hear more real talk and learn more real results. Until next time.